Hello out there. I got a real cute little thing for you today. This is a miner's carbide lamp, and it comes from the experimental days of convenient portable lighting. As humans, we all know that the world isn't really optimized for our eyes or the other way around all the time because there seems to be this thing called darkness. And sure, you can have a candle and all that type of thing, but it's really not that bright. Burns out, it's waxy, it's flimsy, it can be blown out. So, especially during or as a result of the Industrial Revolution kind of era, we started to devise all these different trinkets and funny little contraptions that made light or tried to make light more portable and convenient for us to have and use. This thing's one of them. And basically, the real rudimentaries of it are that there's water in the top. It drips the water onto certain stones called calcium carbide. That reaction generates acetylene gas, which shoots out of a little orifice right in the center of this shiny reflector and makes a very bright, nice flame. And that was a real treat back in the day because electric lights were dim little glowing bulb things and the batteries were about this big. So it was for quite a while a real convenience. So where do I start? Well, I guess we'll start with the story of carbide. Calcium carbide was kind of made readily available by a fellow named Thomas Wilson, Canadian inventor, and he figured a way to produce economic calcium carbide using electricity, normally generated with hydroelectric dams. He was a big player in the early days of electric generation, that type of stuff. For those of you from this kind of area, from around Ottawa, I'm sure you've heard of, if you've heard of Gatineau Park, you might have heard of Carbide Wilson's Ruins or something like that, because Mr. Wilson had a mill that generated hydroelectricity to make his carbide process up there in the park in the early days. And now it's all ruins and it's kind of a lovely photo opportunity and that type of thing. But he made this substance, calcium carbide, which looks like a bunch of stones, by using a carbon arc furnace. And you basically need many thousands of degrees to react the raw limestone and carbon in whatever form it is, charcoal or anthracite ground into a powder or coal coke, whatever. And then you make this stuff called calcium carbide stone or whatever. It just so happens that I was very luckily able to get my hands on some. This is an original tin full of 2 pounds net Shawinigan carbide for use in small acetylene lamps. Lovely. It says Shawinigan on the back, dangerous if not kept dry. And that's really the difficulty with these things. It can be kind of hard to find carbide these days because most shipping companies don't really like a pile or a can of rocks that if they get damp, they can give off flammable and explosive gases. Anyway, this is nice because now I can show you how it works. The specific lamp has, I guess we could call it 3 sections. We'll break it down into the top reservoir, which is water, the bottom reservoir, which the carbide goes into, and the reflector / burner assembly. And this hook on the back, specifically designed for miners' helmets, which we will try. This one also has this cute little black ring around the bottom of the brass tank. And that's because the reaction of the water dripping onto the calcium carbide itself is exothermic. So it generates heat in addition to the flame which is producing the light. So there's this little thing called the Just Right Air-Cooled Grip Patent Pending Made in USA. And this specific model of lamp is the Streamlined Just Right lamp, patent pending, made in USA. Okay, so it's also worth mentioning that this stuff used to be available just about at every hardware store. Very, very common stuff, and you could get it in bulk for making your own acetylene on demand for using torches. We all know oxyacetylene, all that type of stuff. Well, this convenient storage of acetylene gas in cylinders is really not that early of an invention. It was very difficult to store acetylene because as soon as you put it under pressure, it would become unstable and funky, and explode when you didn't want it to and that type of stuff. So it took quite the development to realize that acetylene could be suspended in acetone gas, which could be dissolved into concrete or porous rocks inside these cylinders. So a whole bunch of complexity that we need not delve into. But you could get this carbide and react it with water on the job site for on-demand acetylene gas. And I'll include a little clip here of an acetylene generator that I happen to have. This is an acetylene generator. It's nighttime, we're out in the barn. Dirty big old vessel and a little separate tank on the side. Here's your filler for water. This is your valve, your dripping valve. And the bottom, which is filled by this plug, is where you put the calcium carbide. That's the drain. And then this big tank, which is tapped into the side of the lower section, has a little plug there, not sure what that's for. Here's the pressure. It's being produced of acetylene, and there's your output valve that you'd run to your torch. So water in the top, and then you can adjust this thing, the amount of drips, and you run this thing up, and then it's like a cam action. It raises this center thing like so, and now you're dripping water onto the carbide and generating substantial amounts of gas to use with a torch. Look at this, we still have the instructions. The Century Portable Automatic Acetylene Gas Generator, use rice carbide only. Made by Century Sales. Caution, the generator shall be moved to outside the building for purging of gas air mixtures. When charging, keep away from open flame or sparks. So anyway, let's get into this little trinket. So you twist the bottom and the whole tank comes off. There's a rubber seal. And the real treat with this thing is it's unused. This is fresh. It puts a little bit of a pain in my heart to use it, but if I don't, someone else will. Nice and shiny brass on the inside there, which is also nice because if you leave the reactants, the products of this reaction inside there, calcium hydroxide, it basically makes a lime mortar, kind of like a concrete, all bunged up in there. So we'll pop that off. There's this rubber seal. This little pin protrusion is the water dripping assembly. And then we have this brass funky clasp shaped thing, which is just a retainer for this felt cloth. The felt cloth is a filter. There's a mouse. Anyway, that's just a retainer because as the reaction occurs, sometimes it can get a bit excited and bubble up, and we don't want the bubbled reacted calcium goop to go and plug the little jet. So the top reservoir has a cute little pop cap, and this is basically a valve. There's a whole bunch of notches, and there are no increments, just kind of approximation that the further you twist this thing clockwise, the more water you allow to flow. So I'll twist it until it closes, which in this one's case isn't all the way. And this version, maybe it's that it's streamlined or it's that it's a later version, has a built-in sparker. And this thing, there's a tiny little screw. And for anyone who's ever played with Zippo lighters and has changed their flints before, you do the exact same process. So there's a little spring. I don't want to lose it. And a little flint. Same as a little Zippo flint. Put it in there, make sure the spring's in there. Actually, when I got this thing, because it's unused, this was empty. It was empty of a spring as well. So the spring came out of some disposable Bic lighter, I don't know, something like that. So it goes in there. And then the proper process to ignite these things is to use your hand to allow some acetylene to build up and then come backwards. And this little knurled wheel grabs that flint and the spark ignites it. So health and safety people, sorry, that's how the books tell us to do it. Anyway, let's do a little test. So I have this fellow, which is just water, water of the tap variety. So I'll go ahead and put some in here into the top reservoir. That should be plenty. We're about 3/4 full of water in there. Pop it down. There's a little breather in that cap. And I'll go ahead and slowly start to open this valve, and we'll just check for flow. There we go. Okay, and then back it off, slow drip, and all the way closed. It stops dripping, so that element looks very good. And I'll go ahead and hang it right here for now. Now this guy and this carbide. A lot of what you see online is modern produced little stones of carbide pure in the vessel. This tin is kind of interesting in that I haven't been able to find much information on it, but it basically looks like a powder. If you can see that there. And inside that powder is those little stones. So I'm not sure if that's intentionally suspended in sand or in something, because there's no rust inside this tin. If you look at the bottom, it's beautiful, clean, been stored very well. This is just a bit of paint on the bottom of it. So I'm not sure if that's intentional or if that's actual powdered carbide. Really don't know, but I guess we will soon find out. I don't want to put a I don't want to put a crazy amount in it there, and I don't want to breathe much in because the water inside of me will react with it, of course, and probably not feel the best. So I'll just kind of wipe that off and be sure to close this right away. Close it well. So we're about half full, this little tank here. And go ahead and install this back on. And this whole little lamp is quite cute in that it's entirely disassemblable. You can take the tank off, of course, but you can also disassemble the whole front little jet. And the jet, right, the little tiny orifice is actually ceramic. And it has a brass nut around it. So you can disassemble the whole system to make sure there's no plugs or jams in it. I believe this lamp specifically is from the late 30s. But these things are still made. They still make carbide lamps. So I'll go ahead and open the thing, and then we'll kind of wait a minute and try to strike it and see what happens. Or you know what? I'll open it and I'll allow it to drip just to see how crazy this reaction starts off as. So a few ticks. Come on, there we go. Okay. Oh yeah, I can hear it sizzle right away. Let's see if I can get some for you. Do you see those bubbles forming? So probably need to open it up. Oh, and it's already giving off a very acetylene, stinky kind of sulfurous gas odor. So that's a good sign anyway. I'll open it a couple more ticks and close it firmly. And so we should be generating acetylene now. So let me try this thing. Lock it with the hand, let it build for a minute. I don't want to blow my hand up or anything here. Oh, holy geez, look at that little jet. Whoa. Look at this little thing. There's not really any light because it's a teeny tiny little jet. Okay, let's increase our drippage. Come on. Increase our drippage more. Look at that little flame. Cute little thing. Okay, we're getting some light now. See that? Woo! Okay, well, let me sit it here and let it idle for a minute, think about itself, maybe calm down or kind of stabilize, and I'll show you for fun and comparison this. This is an oil lamp, and it's a portable type. I should have said before that this is kind of a helmet mount style, but this Carbide lamp came in a whole bunch of varieties. Handheld, you could bring it around like a torch, and a very common type was for bicycles and motorcycles. Maybe I shouldn't say common, it was quite high end. But there was a very ornamental version of these, often nickel plated brass or chrome, and they were meant for high-end motorcycles and bicycles, Carbide style. And I always found it quite humorous. I'd kind of play a story through in my head that, say you were having a bad day at work or something, you were driving your motorcycle back home, it's the year 1912, and it's raining, and you hit a bump, and you wipe out on your motorcycle, and that kind of sucks. But because the lamp goes all haywire in the ditch and in the water, it just decides to explode. I found that kind of a humorous thing to envision in my head. Anyway, this is looking quite nice. That's about maybe a 1-inch flame protruding from there. Let's light this oil lamp for comparison, just to see the quality of light and brightness and whatnot. Oh, settled down there. Okay, there we go. So there's, oh, smoking. There's the very orange flame of an oil lamp. Oh my goodness, calm down. Wow. Very orange flame. I don't know why it's so excited. Orange and stinky flame of an old kerosene oil lamp, and this does have a beveled glass front, so it should be a bit stronger than the standards. And this guy's settling down again. Let's give him some more. My. So obviously a much more bright, clear light out of the acetylene lamp. Let's get, oh, lost her. And this oil lamp is just going haywire. Let's shut that thing down. I don't need any of that. Do a little inspection, make sure our pipe isn't, maybe I put too much carbide. No, oh my goodness. What has happened here? I filled the generator with water. Oopsie. Wow. Well, better pour that out. Any of you chemistry people out there in the audience, has my carbide gone bad? Is that why it's all powdery like this? That's my question to you. Because this whole can is kind of, there are these little stony bits, but it is quite powdery. Maybe it's just the stuff on top. Quite powdery indeed. Well, rinsed it out, and we're going to start from the bottom. Whoa. See, I reckon there's what we want. An actual little stone of carbide. I'm wondering if this stuff has gone south for some reason. Okay. Valve off. Water in the tank. Drip. Engaged. Give her a little shake. And blow my hand up. Here's some sizzling. good one. Okay. Gonna go one more notch. I don't want to overfill it like last time. There, that's good. That's worth testing. Let me turn the light off. Oh, turn this light off. Still have a bit of background light, but that's an awful nice little flashlight situation going on there, I tell you. Very bright, clean light. And the reflector actually focuses it quite well. Let's try this thing outside. Well, we're out front of the shop now, and it is a rather windy day. You can see it flickering, but it's surviving pretty well. What I want to test is one of its kind of remarked traits, which was its ability to mark walls or mark parts of mines or caves. So we'll go to that piece of concrete right there, and I'll use it like a little crayon. That's cast iron machines, by the way. Well, hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna grab my pickaxe and go down to the mine. See you next time.